And then who knows the last one? Who knows the last one? Victor?
It could start moving.
It could start moving. Thank you for sharing, Victor.
Victor.
All right, now what we talked about yesterday, all right, what we talked about and what we got into is how do we make it do those 5 things? How do we make it stop moving? How do we make it start moving? How do we make it change directions? How do we
So
make it speed
engagement for classroom management is super important in my class. I think if students aren't paying attention, then they're not learning, and that's when they're getting in trouble. And so in my class, I really need students to be engaged. And so I coach sports, and in sports, it's the same thing, right? You get kids playing around in line because they're not engaged into what you're doing. And you could be teaching, but if nobody's listening, then they're not learning.
All right, thank you for doing a great job of staying on task right now. You got about 4 minutes,
Number one, I have students come in, get focused right away by they're going and they're doing their task on their own. So they know they do the same thing every day. We have a procedure. We have a beginning class procedure that we begin with, and they know that they come in and they do that every day. We talk about threshold, like from Teach Like a Champion. Once they cross that door, they know that the biggest thing is we don't waste time.
All right, so we're going to use the cause and effect modeling tool. And if you can accurately choose the correct force that will cause each change in velocity, then you'll be successful. All right. Notebooks open. Go ahead and open up to the table of contents.
We're always transitioning throughout the period. We're doing different activities. We never stay on an activity too long for them to get bored or for, other students some students, because sometimes what happens is students get done and then these students are still working. So they know, okay, I set time limits so that students are, they know we have a set time that we have to be doing things and we don't have time to mess around. So most of the time is we gotta just stay engaged. We gotta stay focused on what we're doing. I try to have multiple just activities of what they're doing. Like, we'll go from reading to a simulation to we're doing a hands-on activity. And so we do multiple activities in one period.
So we figured out what causes velocities to change. We just talked about that. Now we're going to investigate this question. Let's read this together. What causes some
Velocity.
changes to be
Greater.
than others? All right, so we're going to investigate that question. Go ahead and write your essential question for today. What causes some velocity changes to be greater than others?
The amount of time I spend for each activity in a lesson just depends upon, what you want to get out of it. Some activities will take a little bit longer. If we're doing a hands-on activity, it might be a quick hands-on activity because we just want to get, maybe it's just in the beginning of a lesson and like you said, we're trying to bring that engagement into the lesson. And so it's nothing that's too long.
Because he's doing 3, so he goes more further.
No, but... All right, you guys got about 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Like that?
Yeah.
So you should have at least one trial done by now.
Put it back.
I'll figure it out.
That?
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Start down here. Like right there. Right there. When I say go, 3, 2, 1, go.
No, don't try.
And he went way over there.
Yeah.
All right. You want me to write?
Yeah, you're right.
So trial 1, we start.
The key is that it's just not going to be something that's going to last the whole period, and it's not going to be a activity that's going to give a lot of kids a lot of downtime. So I try to schedule the activities between 5 and 15 minutes, no longer than 15 minutes. So where students are, because when you do 15 minutes, then that puts a real big gap in between some students who are getting done really quick, and then what are they going to do after? And then when I show them the time, I say, look, this is time. This adds up to 48 minutes, right? We don't have any time that we can waste, right? So we don't have any time that we could be outside of this. And so they know every lesson is planned for a 48-minute class from bell to bell.
Here's the 3 questions that we're going to answer. Number 1. Which mark exerted a stronger force? You're going to pick which one. Don't do it now, right? Just wait. Everybody put your pencils down. Put your pencils down. Thank you. All right, we're all looking up here just so that we're sure. I want you guys to be sure that we answer the correct thing. So which mark exerted a stronger force? That's what
I talk about having championship culture in the classroom, just like a basketball team or a football team would have a championship culture. And in championship culture, we use our time wisely, right? Naturally, middle school students are going to want to drift and do other things if they're not held to a standard.
Your challenge is to complete each mission by exerting just a single force on the object. That force can be of any or? Okay, go ahead and open up the sim on 1.5.
We could learn 1, 2, 3 concepts in a period, in the same period that someone would spend learning just one thing, and then the kids don't, like I said, they just don't have time to even think about looking at the clock. Then it's not even that what we're doing is the greatest. It's just that we're just switching. Like we finish this, right? Then we're switching. We're on to the next thing. And some people might have things planned for that period, and then they're done. I have my lessons written for the semester, so they know if we're done, we're going to go to the next lesson. We're going to go to the next lesson, and so you hardly ever see that we're stopping, right? And then there's never free time. It's just more time to explore the next whatever the next thing is.
All right, great job today. Great job staying on task. We got through a lot, right? We got through a ton, right? Great job staying on task. We couldn't get through so much if we didn't stay on task the way that we did. So great job answering and staying focused and doing what we do best, which is we don't waste time.